and put it on themselves, each other, what each other think of them. It's a nightmare. It has been paranoia, jealousy, hatred, anger, judgment without end since that day. That is the human condition now. They get their butts booted out of the garden. Why? Because even though God came in and started to make a way to cover them, what they did has now taken them out of perfect, right relationship. The relationship is damaged. They have children. The children are born outside of the garden, so the children are born outside of right relationship with God. Chapter 4, verse 1. Now, Adam knew Eve, his wife, and that is the biblical version of knew. And she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have gotten or received a man with the help of the Lord. And again she bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain, wait, hold up a second. I told you guys to look for patterns in the Bible, and when a pattern breaks, that is significant. So here is a pattern that just broke. When we meet Adam, we are told his name was Adam because he was taken from the ground. This is why he has the name that he's given. Last chapter, Adam names his wife Hava or Eve because she's the mother of all the living. The word Hava means life. We get to chapter 4, she gets a child with the help. She received a child, so she named her son Cain because that's the word for receiving. And then, real quick, if you just want to breeze over it, she also had Abel, whoever that is. And it specifically does not stop to tell you what his name means. Because in the original language, and thank God you know a dork like me, and you can go and look this up for yourselves. I don't want you to take my word for these things. But I'm someone who goes to the Word. And I want you to become people who go to the Word. And when you go to the Word in its original language, there's a lot of wordplay in the original Hebrew, like a lot. And this one is brilliant. So for those of you who don't know this, in the original Hebrew, there are no vowels. All you get are the consonants. And through oral tradition, people learn which version of the word. Because if you do this in English, take all the vowels out of your name and put different vowels in there, you get a different name. You get a different word entirely when you do this move. The same thing happens in Hebrew. So if you don't know how to read it the way it's meant to be read, you go places. And when you read this in the original language, there are no vowels. The three consonants that make up Abel's name are the same three consonants that show up 11 times in the book of Ecclesiastes. It's the word for futility. Every single time you see futility, all is futility. A man works, a man dies, everything he does comes to nothing. Futility. It's literally the same three letters you would get when you see the name Abel in Genesis chapter 4, because the author wants you thinking in those terms. Why? Because if you were raised in Sunday school, this is a no-brainer question. Who's the good guy in this story? Right? Everybody, it's Abel. Abel's the good son. He's the one who wanted to please God. He's the one who made the correct sacrifice. Here's the problem. He still lives out of bounds. Right. So all of his good is futile and it comes to nothing. Listen, a better question than who's right or who's wrong when it comes to Genesis chapter 4 is, which of the two of them would you rather be? And the correct answer is neither. I want to be in the garden. The correct answer is I don't want to be either one of these people because one of them is futility and the other, well, we're going to get into him. So this is what it says. And Cain, a worker of the ground. In the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruit of the ground, meaning vegetables, fruits, grain. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell, meaning he looks like, people after they're like on their fourth day here after grace, and the people, everyone else is like This is the greatest Steve-O's we've ever had. You look around there and the one person just sitting there, it looks like somebody farted in their mouth. Right. But before I go class over when we got back to Genesis 1, let's tackle this like we're reading the Bible for the very first time. Why start the first book? And when you get to chapter 1, well, that's the first thing anyone who's reading the Bible for the first time, when they open the cover, would read. We get to Genesis chapter 4, and this is people trying to live in some sort of a relationship with God, but doing it outside of the garden, outside of right relationship. And it says they made sacrifices. Who told them to do this? Because so far, last chapter, there's only been one sacrifice made, and it was God who made it. God literally came into the picture, and the move he made spells out, in order for what you did to be covered, I need to sacrifice something. But this is what happens when we live outside of a relationship with God, but we're still kind of a big fan. When we don't have a relationship, and I'm about to use a word that gets abused terribly, but I'm using the very negative end of its meaning, we have nothing left but religion. Now, religion is fine. Religion is a good thing. Religion is how I walk out my covenant, my side of my marriage vows with the Lord. Like I love when people are like, I don't do any of that stuff. All I have to do is just live to please him. What does that look like? You'd almost think there was an exhaustive book spelling out. Like, I don't have to fulfill any of that. Jesus died so that all I have to do is just love him. Well, what does that look like? If you do it right, weird news for you. It almost looks like religion. But what I mean by religion is when we're just doing what he doesn't know me. I'm doing it from a distance. I'm doing it to try and earn my way into some sort of standing. I mean, I bang on this drum with you guys all the time. I've now been far longer married to my wife than the season building up to us getting married. And I do more now that is sacrificial to myself for the benefit of her. I do more things now that matter to her that don't matter at all to me, other than the fact that they matter to her, than I ever did in that brief little window before we got married. Is it because I'm trying to get her to love me? No, we're already in the marriage. But if it means anything to me, man, there's going to be fruit in my life that is essential that relationship means something to me, so I will do what pleases the other person. But what Cain and Abel are doing, and what millions of people have tried ever since, is they're not even in the marriage trying to get on the radar. How can I, if there is a God, because my mom and dad told me they used to really be tight with this guy, what do we got to do to get him to pay attention? This is all we have left when we're not in the garden. And so they make sacrifices, and listen, I could burn 3 weeks on the difference physically between what was offered by Cain and what was offered by Abel, because this is in a pre-flood world. These guys are still, at this point, herbivores. Like the sacrifice wasn't like, well, I mean, obviously, Cain just put a couple like rotting tomatoes up on the altar. But Abel went and he killed a lamb, even though he has a deep freezer filled with bacon and prime sirloin. No, listen, these guys are hardworking farmers, and to kill one of your animals meant you're going to do all of the plowing yourself. He was doing this at great cost to himself. But more importantly, to move forward with this passage, the reason that Cain's wasn't accepted and we're about to read that the Bible reveals this, is his motive was all wrong. Because his motive was, I want the right response from who's receiving it. Like, this is one of the first things you learn as a child. If one of your parents or your grandparents or an aunt or an uncle or a good neighbor ever gave you, like, here's so you can give so-and-so a gift for their birthday or for Christmas, then one of the first things that's instilled in you is, don't give this expecting anything in return, or it's not a gift. When Cain didn't get the response from Yahweh that he wanted to receive, it revealed exactly why Yahweh rejected it. Cain just put it out there. This is yours. Do with it as you will. Cain put it out there and was like, why didn't you like it? Do you hate me? Like, he went into straight rejection mode, which lets you know the motive of his heart is even further away than logistically he already is by living outside of the garden, by living outside of right relationship. So here it goes. Verse 7, God speaking to Cain. If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is contrary to you, but you must rule over it. Bring your thoughts captive. I love it. The timing of this. I almost wish, I know why the Bible doesn't do it, and I appreciate it, but you'd almost think the Bible should have, and so Cain went and saw a movie, or Cain went out to dinner. No, it moved immediately. He just got face-to-face direct counsel from the Most High. Yahweh comes down and goes, Cain, I know what is going on in your heart. Bring it under control. You have just gotten direct counseling session with God Almighty. Very next verse, so Cain killed his brother. It's incredible. You'd almost think he's one of us. How many times have we been dragged into that office? And they're like, listen, we're not judging you. We know what's about to happen. We know where your thinking is going to lead you. We'd like to pray with you. Yeah. Everyone else in the room has their eyes closed. You're sitting there like, can I go? Amen. And we go out and we do it anyway. And then we get dragged back into the office. We're like, why am I here? You know why you're here. You know exactly why you're here. Patrick, rewind the tape. Like, you were just in here. We tried to stop this before it got to this point. How many times has the Holy Spirit been like, check yourself? And we just turn up the volume on the mental radio. Like, oh, sorry, couldn't hear you. Bad connection. Is that you, God? Call me back. He's like, I'm here. No, call me. Seriously, this is what we do. We're ridiculous. Cain just had a one-on-one counseling session with God himself. And God himself wasn't coming down here like, let me tell you why I didn't accept your offering. Because I hate you. Listen, man, your thoughts are all banged up, man. Your thoughts are twisted. Get this under control before it gets worse. And Cain's like, I see you. I hear you. I'm going to go kill my brother. So this is how the Bible tells us it goes down. It's incredible. Verse 8. Cain spoke to Abel, his brother. I'm sure that was a calm conversation. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Very next verse. We talked about this last week. The very first recorded disobedience to God happens in the Bible. And the very next verse is God going, where are you? That wasn't they did so bad and they messed up so bad and they were so far removed from God that they had to go and have their come to Jesus moment, as we stupidly call it, and reach rock bottom. This is how we teach how a relationship with God works. We reached rock bottom and we called out, "Where are you?" And God, no, yo, seriously, you need to rewind the tape on this. Like, no, we mess up, we fall short, and God himself is the one with his hand out going, "I echo, where are you?" One chapter later, we get the world's first homicide that listen, this is important that we double down on this because I'm not like trying to just trump up Cain's charges. It's not only the world's first homicide, it's a homicide that comes as a direct result of going, no, I don't hear you, to God. He's got disobedience and homicide. And God makes himself immediately, not one or two verses later, very next line in his story, God is making himself available not to the grieving parents, but to the murderer. And despite how our mind recites this story to us, he's not there to cast Cain into outer darkness. He's not there to smite him. He's not there to say, "I've come to tell you that like you sicken me and I'm done with you." He comes to offer him a chance to repent. Man, listen, I don't know if you are picking up on this, but no matter what we may have been up to, man, there's hope for us. It's what we do with the chance that is given to us that will determine our outcome. So this is... my favorite part of the story is probably the least important part, but like I'm a sucker for these details. You're going to find out real quick, Cain takes after his mother. So here we go. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" He said, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" And the Lord said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground. And now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it shall no longer yield to you its strength. You shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth." Stop for a second. One more time, it's important we understand. This is not God going, so every single time you try to plant something, I'm going to kill it in the ground. What he's saying is, again, now that your focus is this reprobate, now that your mindset is this lost and this worldly, everything is going to seem more burdensome to you. If you are a murderer who is unrepentant, you become paranoid. He's not saying like, so everywhere you go, everyone is going to be on the lookout for you. You're going to be paranoid because you murdered somebody and now everyone else is going to be like, that guy. So we read what God told him the result is going to be. And it's easy. Listen, this is the easiest way to phrase this. He's reaping what he sowed. That's it. God didn't come in and he's like, now is the time to tell you about hell. No, he didn't come in like that. He came in and, listen, I gave you a chance to be honest about this, but now that you're not honest about it, this should inform you about your mindset. And that mindset is going to make the world so much harder for you. Everything is going to be harder for people when this is your mindset. I don't take responsibility. I lash out in anger. I've wrecked my relationship with my family, but I don't seem to actually be putting any effort into like making any sort of amends. Everything is harder for us when we are not in a repentant mindset. And so this is the part where Cain, so much like his mother. Cain said to the Lord, "My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me today away from the ground, and from your face I shall be hidden. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." That's not what God said. I mean, he took that and ran. I mean, he was just like, I got to make this so much worse. I mean, this is his mom's like signature move. Yeah. I mean, the serpent comes in and is like, did God really tell you that? She's like, yeah, that and more. Yeah. No, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't even talk to her. And so Cain is being, listen, think about this. All of this is so that we are being informed of the state of his thinking. I was just given an opportunity to confess. Yeah, I'll pass. I can live with this. Then when you kind of realize, oh, wait, it's God who asked, like, oh, well, you know. But you know what? Clearly, I'm not really broken up about what I did. And I mean, if he takes after his parents, there's a really good chance his mentality is like, and if we're being real about this, God, I mean, seriously, like, you could have just accepted both offerings. I mean, like, who really made this happen? What's happening here is absolutely incredible. 2 straight chapters of direct disobedience against God himself. This one resulting in a homicide, and in both cases, and we're talking about the part of the Bible that has all these like ominous sounding titles above the chapters, like the fall. I mean, this is where everything should just like go down. And in both stories, in the very next line, the very next moment of your story, after we are disobedient and we hit the ground, there is God with his hand out going, but I'm not done with you. I still have a purpose and a place in my kingdom for you. What happens is Cain straight up rejects it. It says he turns his back and heads east, which that's some nice flourish. Oh, cool, the Bible's giving us detail. We can maybe draw a map. That's not the point. The point is he turned his back on the garden, which means he turned his back on right relationship with God, and he walked away. And this is why the result of his actions becomes what it is. Because all God was saying is, like, the mindset you're in is going to cost you your peace. And Cain quadrupled down on it to the point that it cost him a relationship with God completely. He walked away from Eden. But we've got to really get to the nuts and bolts of this story. Because Abel, God bless him, you know, the name that looks like the word futility, you know, the one who tried to do the right thing, who's probably the biblical textbook example we're supposed to point at when people are like, do good people get into heaven? Listen, being good is awesome, and it makes the world that we live in temporarily a slightly better place. But we don't get through the gates and security of the homes of people who don't know who we are. Every single one of us knows what the president looks like. None of us would make it across the front lawn of the White House without being tased by the Secret Service and probably mauled by dogs, if not shot. Here's why. Because nobody in the White House knows who we are. So we can go outside of the White House and be the biggest tourists. We can be the most pro-American. I love our country. I love history. I have posters of all the presidents. I collect all the collectible coins because I'm a sucker. Like, I mean, we could, like, seriously, 4th of July could be our favorite holiday. We could be all in. If the guy on the receiving end has no clue who we are because we have no relationship, we get no access. Listen, if we had dedicated mission teams in 1969 to having you guys come in, what I'm about to say is going to sound weird, but imagine we became convinced. Imagine Jim was like, as weird as this sounds, it really works to help people. If they come to our program for 8 to 10 months, and we get them really, really excited about the planet Mars. I mean, there have been cults that like followed comets. I mean, listen, this is a foreign concept. Imagine mission teams, and you got like, we're help for the desperate. That's still our motto, but you've got to be desperate enough where we're like, I'll go see what they have to say about that planet. And you come here for 8 to 10 months, and all of the songs are about Mars. So there's a lot of boating. And all of the teachers come down, and they all, they're not, volunteering to teach because they work at the church. They're volunteering to teach because they work at the planetarium. I'm here every Wednesday for my job at, the Franklin Institute. Right? And everything that we talk to you guys about is Mars. Dude, imagine, some of you guys, the songs, if we played E minor chords and put red filters on the lights, we'd get 3 of you crying, singing songs about Mars and how good Mars is. That's just the way it works. And imagine every book in the library was about Mars. You dedicated 10 months of your life singing about Mars, learning about Mars, becoming the biggest fan of the planet Mars. This is the killer, right? Be ready for this. When you graduate, you are still never going to be a Martian. Because we are not of Mars or from Mars, and that is what the suffix IAN means. So if we are not of Christ or from Christ, we are not Christian. No matter how many songs we sing about Christ, no matter how many books we read about Christ, no matter how many classes we sit through learning about Christ, if we are not His, if we are not of Him or from Him, there's nothing. We're just fans. So some of you guys are familiar with the story. It's one of those great opportunities for me to throw old me under the bus, and I would love to tell you this is pre-Christian me. No, this is still learning the ropes in the kingdom me. I've been in my commitment at the main office of Mission Teens for 25 years this year on a 1-year commitment because these people are terrible at math. I took a 1-year commitment, a quarter of a century ago to leave my cushy personal kingdom as a director out in Oregon and come to New Jersey. I took a year off in the year 2003, and I went and I was a full-time missionary in Ireland. And it was brilliant. We set up youth programs that ran all day, every day, and I'm leading worship, we're doing athletics, but all of it was to get them all gospel-minded. So one day, none of the kids are around, and nobody else is really around. It's just me and my friend Greg, and I wasn't a tourist. I was over there to do the business. I wasn't kissing Blarney Stones or anything like that, but I had a hiccup in my life at that time. At that moment in my life, my favorite band ever was U2. They were God's favorite band, so I felt like they should be my favorite band. And my friend Greg goes, Bono only lives 15 minutes from here. That's the lead singer. So we hopped in this car, and we drive up to Bono's house. And he's got this amazing gate, right? And it's engraved. And the one side is all Psalms, and then the other side is all these famous literary lines, and poetry lines, and lines from books and things like that. Great for getting a picture. So I get in front of the gate. I'm wearing a red Phillies t-shirt and these wraparound Oakley sunglass knockoffs. And and Greg goes, get a little bit closer so we can get some of that detail in. True story. I took 1 or 2 steps back, and the call box kicks on. And it's this little Irish man. And Greg goes, and this is all he says. He goes, I need you to step away from my gate. And I said, we're just getting a picture, and then we're going to take off. And he goes, lots of people come here and take pictures. I need you to step away from my gate. So I stepped away from the gate and took him on. And then we ran, and we get in the car, and we're giggling, dude, Bono just told us to get off his lawn. Right? So 2 weeks or so pass, and it's time for me to write my please send me money and don't leave me stranded in Europe letter to all of my supporters. And nothing, you guys fold newsletters, nothing helps better than putting pictures that tug at hearts. So I'm going through all these pictures. It's me baptizing one of the teenagers in the Irish Sea. Here's me leading worship with kids and hands in the air with red filters and E minor chords. It was beautiful. There's me preaching on this Irish hillside that they ended up using for like Game of Thrones. I mean, everything is like epic. And then I'm going through the pictures, and I find a picture of a complete idiot wearing a Phillies t-shirt and these knockoff Oakley wraparounds, standing in front of Bono's gate going like... And finally, with a sober mind, and I don't mean like I was impaired before, but with a clear mind, I actually thought about what I was looking at. And what I was looking at was a picture of a really big fan of somebody who got to the gate of somebody I was a really, really big fan of, and all I heard is, "But I don't recognize you, so get away from my property." And me, posing like an absolute moron, celebrating, I got locked out. What argument could I possibly have made to that man? You don't understand. I sing your songs every morning and every night. Almost like devos. Listen, every word that has ever been written about you, I've read it. And I've actually bought those books for other people because I've made converts. I turned other people into U2 fans. What can I say? Dude, don't you remember? It was the Octung Baby Zoo TV tour. I was in row 212, section G, at old JFK State. And what's he going to say to me? He's like, "Well, thank you for all the money you invested. You paid for the gate that's locking you out. I don't know who you are." Why don't you seem to understand what a big fan I am? Well, listen, he's grateful for my fandom. Why would he ever let me near his children? Why would he ever let me near anything of value in his house? He has no idea who I am because there's no relationship. I have spent my entire life on the other side of the wall going, "Love you. You're the best. What can we be friends?" Until I'm in the garden, all I can be is a fan. Until I accept what Jesus did to pay my way back into Eden, all I can do on the outside is religion, with no relationship in the negativest sense of that word, because all I am is a fan. I love hearing about what Jesus did for other people. Wish he would do that for me. I love hearing people preach the word. I never really read it myself, but I love when other people preach it. I love this song. I'll actually sing this one. I mean, that's when you know worship's all about you. Like, oh, this one's my jam. Like, are you kidding me? Morning, noon, and night, every waking hour of my musical life, I am singing at the top of my lungs U2 songs, and I get to that guy's house and he keeps the gate shut and tells me, "I don't know who you are." I've read every interview. I get to his house and he tells me, "I don't know who you are." We're not here to become fans of God. Man, we're here to accept what Jesus did and do our part in that covenantal relationship to get into that garden that where he is, we may also be. Because he doesn't want fans. The gate gets shut on fans. The gate is shut and locked, and he tells us straight up, what we'll hear is, "Depart from me, I never knew you." No matter what argument is made. He even gives them, like, "I cast out demons in your name. I never knew you." Half the t-shirts in my closet have your name on them. Come to America, look at my car. You're on my bumper. Yeah, but I never knew you. And so maybe, just maybe, having the Christian Easy Pass Jesus fish as a bumper sticker on your car is not how we get through the gate, because that is not indicative at all that we were anything more than a fan. No matter how loud we sing the songs we're feeling, that doesn't make us anything more than a fan. No matter how psyched we get for a solid teaching, especially when your teacher is like an energetic lunatic like me, It doesn't make you anything more than a fan. What we need to be is not making sacrifices that bring us no closer from the outside. We need to accept the only sacrifice that gets us in. No more fandom. We're here for a relationship. We're not here to learn about God. We're here to meet him. So be still and meet him. No more fandom. We want to get in the gate, not just pose for a picture on the outside and have our lasting impression be like, I spent my entire life loving you, only to find out you never knew who I was. It's time for us to get in. Because his mind will be at perfect peace, whose mind is fixed on me. And the easiest way to have our mind fixed on him is to be walking with him in the garden. We got to get our eyes off of this, them, that hideous person in the mirror. Just put our focus back on God. Because that is why the cross, like I said last week, was so absolutely almost hyperbolically gory and scandalous. Because it is such a distraction that if we're doing this right, man, that should have our entire focus. That should be our entire focus. This is what I'm going to end on. And it's important for us to understand this. How many times have we heard some variation of, like, you need to magnify the Lord? Well, he's unchanging. I don't know how to make God bigger. He is who he is. Here's how you make something bigger. And look at this is real easy Mr. Wizard level science. So buckle up for like a third grade level science lesson, and then I'm going to say goodbye to you for the day. The easiest way to make something bigger that is unchanging is for you to draw nearer to it. Yeah. And the closer we get to something, the bigger it grows, and then everything else fades away. Listen, I use this example every time I teach this. I'm not knocking Jason. Everybody in the room knows Jason is not smaller than my thumb. I cannot see Jason. Because I am closer to my thumb than I am to him. And what we have done, what the fall has done, what Genesis 3 has done to us, is we obsess and focus and fellowship, because what we spend our time with is what we're fellowshipping with things that in the grand scheme of things and in the presence of a massive, eternal, almighty God are truly so small and insignificant, but we draw so near to them that not only do they seem massive, but the God who holds all of the answers seems so small. Because whichever one of you I look at comes into focus really, really clearly, and everyone else is in my peripheral vision really, really small and really, really blurry. And all I have to do to get proper perspective on them is to stop looking at you and shift my focus to them. And now you come in vividly, absolutely clear. You're the proper size in my life. You are the proper clarity in my life. And everything else is fading away. It's time for us to stop staring at our work. It's time for us to stop staring at our circumstances and get back into the garden where we are so overwhelmed by an overwhelming God because our focus is on him and he is what is biggest in our vision and everything else is in its proper place, really small and out of focus over here. Man, rather than zeroing in on an ant that bit us and somehow it outweighs God in all of his enormity. When our mindset is like Adam and Eve's, when they're thinking about good and evil rather than just thinking about God and his grace. When our mindset is like Cain, when we're just acting out because things aren't going the way we hoped they would go, and so we just double down in our lack of repentance and our upset outlook and our anger and our disappointment. This isn't me and my personal interpretation. This is what God has said to both of them. Man, your focus has just ruined everything for you. God didn't come down and just swallow them into the earth for their transgressions. He came down and said, I still have a plan for you, but this is how it's going to be for you for as long as you are in this lowly mindset. The only thing that's going to work to get us out of that mindset is for us to be distracted by something so absolutely massive and monumental that if we're doing it right, we should be staring at it endlessly. And I can think of nothing that fits the bill more than the cross. He made the sacrifice so that we could be on the inside, not that we would have to stay stuck on the outside making the sacrifices ourselves. That's futility. No more futility. It's time to start bearing fruit, which means we got to start planting in the right places, and there's no better place than in the garden. And there's no way back into that garden but through Jesus. So don't get to know about him. Get to know him. Pray us out.